the sum of two or more functions or the difference of two or more functions, f plus or minus g, and if both are functions of x, can also be written as sum of the two functions, fx plus or minus gx. And this is the important part, that the domain of f plus or minus g, f plus or minus g, the domain of this will be A intersection B. Okay, similarly, for product f into g, you have fx into gx, and the domain is also A intersection B. Similarly, f by gx, this is quotient rule. Okay, it is fx by gx, which is domain is A intersection B. And you have these f plus k, where k is a constant. You can also write it as fx plus k. Okay, and k into f, you can take the constant out, and you can write k into fx. And f to the power of n x is the same as raising the power fx to the raising fx to the power of n. Okay, look at this now. Question number 1. Given fx here is x minus mod x divided by mod x. You need to find f minus 1. So how do you find out f minus 1? So first of all, in order to find f minus 1, you replace x by minus 1. So you replace x by minus 1. Okay. So what are you getting here? Minus 1 minus, and mod of minus 1 is simply 1, because mod converts any negative number to a positive number, divided by minus 1. So you get minus 2 by minus 1, which is equal to 2. As simple as this. Okay. Look at number 2. Given fx is equal to x by x minus 1. Okay. You need to show that fa by fa plus 1 is equal to f of a square. Okay. So fa by fa plus 1 is equal to some function of a square. That is what you need to show. Okay, first let us find out fa. So fa here is a by a minus 1. And fa plus 1, so you replace x by a plus 1 this time. Okay, so you get a plus 1 by a simply. Plus 1 and minus 1 cancel in the denominator. Okay, now you start with the left hand side. Left hand side is fa by fa plus 1. Let's first find out fa square, then we'll start with the left hand side. Fa square is equal to, now you replace x by a square. Okay, now you start from the left hand side. Left hand side is fa by fa plus 1. Fa here is a by a minus 1, and fa plus 1 is a plus 1 by a. Okay, so you get here a by a minus 1 into a by a plus 1. Okay, so you get here a square in the numerator divided by a plus 1 into a minus 1 in the denominator. So you are getting a square by a square minus 1. So if you see, which is equal to fa square, which is equal to your right hand side, and that is proved. Okay. So let's see the third one. Question here is, given fx is equal to 1 plus x by 1 minus x. You need to show that f tan theta is equal to minus cot theta. That means function of f tan theta is equal to minus cot theta. Okay. So first of all, let us find out this f tan theta first, this part. F tan theta means you replace x by tan theta. Okay, fine. So now since you have replaced x by tan theta, now you need to find out f of f tan theta. Therefore, f of f tan theta is the same as, what is the value of f tan theta we have found out above? f1 plus tan theta by 1 minus tan theta. And what is the value of fx here? 1 plus x by 1 minus x. So now you replace x by 1 plus tan theta by 1 minus tan theta. Okay, now you take the LCM in the numerator and denominator. In the numerator, you are going to get 1 minus tan theta plus 1 plus tan theta. We use brackets here, divided by, and the denominator LCM is 1 minus tan theta. So you are going to get 1 minus tan theta minus 1 plus tan theta. Okay. Okay. Now we'll simplify the numerator and denominator. In the numerator, you have 1 minus tan theta. And here you have 1 minus tan theta plus 1 plus tan theta. In the denominator, you have 1 minus tan theta below. And above, you have 1 minus tan theta minus 1 minus tan theta. Okay. So now if you see, plus and minus tan theta are going to cancel here. And here, plus 1 and minus 1 are going to cancel. Also 1 minus tan theta, 1 minus tan theta is going to cancel. So what are you left with? If you see in the numerator, you are simply left with 1 plus 1, which is 2. And the denominator, you are left with minus tan theta, right? So now again, this 2 and this 2 are going to cancel. So you're only left with minus 1 by tan theta, which is equal to minus cot theta. And that is proved. So you have proved that f tan theta is equal to minus cot theta. Any question here?
No, sir.
Okay. Now we are going to into the classification of functions. Okay. Broadly, the types of functions I have already explained: injective, surjective, and bijective. Now we are going into the classification of functions which we are going to use in our calculus. The first type of function that we mostly use in calculus is called the piece function, which we have already somewhat dealt with earlier also. And I had also, I think, mentioned the name to you, piece function. Okay. So let's see what a piece function is. A piece function will normally look like this. A function will have different values for different values of x. So hx is a piece function where the value of hx is minus 1 when x is negative. Okay. It is equal to 0 when x is equal to 0, and it is equal to minus 1 when x is positive. Okay. So for 3 different values of x, you are getting 3 different values of the function. Okay. Such a function is typically called a piece function, where the value of x you take in intervals, and for various intervals you get different values of fx. Okay. Let's see an example here. Given fx is equal to 1 plus x for is equal to x square minus 1 for and is equal to 2x for. So fx is 1 plus x, where x lies between minus 1 and 0, minus 1 inclusive, and is equal to x square minus 1 when x lies between 0 and 2, and is equal to 2x when x is greater than or equal to 2 or 2 is less than or equal to x. Okay, you need to find these values f3, f minus 2, and so on. Let us see the first one. So f3 is equal to, now see, a 3 lies bit in this interval, right? X greater than or equal to 2. So for f3 you have, let's write this way, for x is equal to 3, what is the value of fx? It is 2x, right? So therefore f3 will be equal to 2 into 3, which is equal to 6. Okay, similarly f minus 2, for x is equal to minus 2, what is the value of fx? If you see x is equal to minus 2, um, lies in what interval? Mm, oh, it lies in nowhere. That means fx is undefined. If you see x is equal to minus 2 does not lie in any of the intervals. So for x is equal to minus 2, fx is undefined. Next, for x is equal to 0, what is the value of fx? For x is equal to 0, if you see 0 lies in, um, the function is not equal to 0. If you see the equality is not here, neither is the equality here. So that means at x is equal to 0, I don't know the value of the function. Therefore, fx is, yes? Anyone asking anything?
No, sir.
Fx is undefined here also. Okay. Although here you have 0, you don't have an equality here, right? And you also don't have an equality here. So fx is undefined at x is equal to 0. Okay. So next, f half. For x is equal to half, what is the value of fx in this piece function? If you see, half lies in the interval 0 and half in this interval. So that means fx must be equal to x square minus 1. So therefore, what is the value of f half? Half square minus 1. 1/4 minus 1, which is minus 3/4. Okay. Next, f2 minus h, where h is positive and is very small. Very small means very close to 0. That means h is, let's say, um, minus 0.999, or let's say it is 0.00001. So h is very small, but it's very close to 0. Okay, then what will happen? But h here is positive, right? So that means you have to take h as, let's say, 0.0001. Okay, so if h is positive and is very close to 0, what is 2 minus h? Here, 2 minus h. If h is very small and h is very close to 0, 2 minus h is a number that will always be less than 2, right?
Yes, sir.
Right? So therefore, for x is equal to 2 minus h, which interval are we going to use? If you see this function here, 2 minus h, this is just less than 2. That means we are going to use this value, right? X is between 0 and 2 because 2 minus h is less than 2. So fx is equal to x square minus 1. So therefore, what is the value of f2 minus h? Replace x by 2 minus h, right? Now you can expand. So you get here h square minus 4h plus 3. That is the value of f2 minus h. Next is f minus 1 plus h. What is minus 1 plus h? Minus 1 plus h, if h is positive and very close to 0, you can check by putting, let's say, 0.0001. Then what will it be? Minus 1 plus some positive value will always be greater than minus 1, right?
Yes, sir.
Somewhat greater than minus 1. That means That means you can write that minus 1 plus h must lie between 0 and minus 1, right? Because it is greater than minus 1. Now, if you see which value here, what is the value of the function? If it lies between minus 1 and 0, this is the value that we are going to take for the function
Yes,
f,
sir.
fx is equal to 1 plus x. So for x is equal to minus 1 plus h, fx is equal to 1 plus h, 1 plus x. Therefore, what is the value of f minus 1 plus h? It is replace x by minus 1 plus h. So you get 1 minus 1 plus h. So you're simply getting h. Okay. That is what is meant by piece function. And this is how we evaluate the values of piece functions for various values of x. Okay. We come to the next classification after piece function. Now, piece function you will be encountering a lot in the days to come, especially in class 12, when we'll be discussing differentiability and continuity. Okay. So piece function is very important. Be very clear with piece functions. Okay. Now, classification of functions. Uh, One is piece function, which we have already mentioned. Another classification is algebraic function. Algebraic functions have been classified mostly into you have polynomial function, which you already know. A polynomial will look like this, right? A polynomial in degree 2, degree 3, all that you know. Quadratic polynomial, biquadratic polynomial, cubic polynomial, all that you know, right? So any polynomial are classified under algebraic functions. Okay. Then you have the next type of algebraic function, which is called the rational functions. Rational functions are nothing but fractions containing polynomials. So if you see in this example, this is a fraction in which the numerator is a polynomial and also the denominator is a polynomial. Also, what you see is that the coefficients of all these polynomials, the numerator and denominator, all these are rational, right? So 1 into x cube plus 1 into x square plus 3, all these are rational. So that is why these are called rational functions. Okay. And irrational functions uh, are those in which the coefficients of x's are all, if not all, at least one coefficient is irrational. For example, if you see square root of 5x squared minus 7x plus 2, this is an irrational function. Okay, irrational polynomial, in fact. Okay, and this is an irrational polynomial also because the power is fractional. All these powers are fractional, right? So therefore, this is also an irrational polynomial. Next, this is the main thing that we need to understand, and this is what is going to come mostly, is find the domain of the following functions. Okay, look at 1, 1. Now, what do you mean by what forms the domain of a function? Suppose if I have two sets, A and B, right? And I have already told you that if you have, let's say, 5 elements, and each of these 5 elements have a distinct image, right?
Yes, sir.
Each of these, if they have a distinct image, then it is said to be a function. And what is the domain we say? We say this is the domain, right? But in case if you have two sets where this kind of thing happens, can you call it a function? Is this a function?
No, sir.
It is not a function, right? Why?
Yes.
Because one element does not have an image, right? This particular element does not have an image, right? But what if we are to remove this element from this set? Then will this become a function?
Yes, sir.
If we are to remove this element from this, then this will become a function. Okay. So let us call uh, if from the set A, let us call this element as, let's say, x. Okay. So instead of mapping A to B, now if I map in this way, Let's say this is your set A minus, and I remove the element X, and B becomes this. Now if you see, each element is mapped here, right? Each element is mapped. Now this becomes a function. So what have I done? I have defined the domain in such a manner that it becomes a function, that f becomes a function. Here it is a relation. Here f is a relation, but here f is a function, right? So that is what we are going to see in these examples here. Now see the first one. We want to find the domain of each of these such that it is a function. That means all these are given to you as functions, right? You just need to find out the domain. What you need to remove from the domain so that it is a function. Okay, look at the first one. Y is equal, find the domain of the following functions. Now, whenever you are attempting this kind of a problem, always take fx or y is equal to the given uh, function. Okay, so let's say let y is equal to, because we already taken fx, for a change let's take y. Let y is equal to 5x cube minus 7x square plus 6x plus 2. Okay, now if you see, if nothing is given here, x belongs to what? You will take it as a set of real numbers. X belongs to R. That means your set A here is a set of real numbers. And since nothing is given for B also, you will take this as a set of real numbers. So this B is also your set of real numbers. Now for this function, can you for this expression, are each element of A, does it have a unique image? Does every real value give you a real value? Yes, isn't it? Whatever value of X that you put, you will get a definite real value, right? In this.
Yes, sir.
So for every X belonging to R, there exists an image in R, image of X in R. Hence, nothing has to be excluded from the domain. That is, nothing has to be excluded from the set A, so that it becomes a function. Hence, what is the domain of the function? Domain of Y is equal to the set of real numbers, because it works for every real numbers. All the elements that you take in the real numbers will have an image, right? So that is your domain.
Yes, sir.
Look at the second one. Let Y is equal to X plus 3 divided by X square plus 3X plus 2. Okay, you need to find out the domain of this. How do you find out the domain? Now, which one will, for which value of X, because nothing is given, we'll definitely take X belonging to R. Okay, so you have two sets, R and R. A is also R, B is also R, right? Now, which element does not have an image? If the denominator is equal to 0, then those value of X will not have an image, right?
Yes, sir.
So you find out those values. So what are the values of X for which you get no image? So for X is equal to -2, does it have an image? No image. For
No.
X is equal to -1, does it have an image? It does not have an
No, sir.
image. That means from the set of real numbers, if I remove these two thorns, will my road be clear for it to be a function? Yes.
Yes, sir.
So therefore, hence, I define the domain of this function to be the set of real numbers from which I remove these two elements, -2 and -1, because they were creating problems. They did not have an image. Now it becomes a function. Otherwise, if you include -2 and -1, what will it become? What will it
Becomes a
become?
relation.
Relation, exactly. Okay. So let's proceed with the third one. We say let y is equal to square root of a square minus x square. Okay. Now within the square root, obviously if nothing is given, again you will assume this to be set of real numbers. So what is the restriction here? For every value of x, will you get a real value of y? For what values of x you will not get a real value of y? Only when a square minus x square is negative, right? So for a square minus x square greater than or equal to 0, right? Every x belongs to R has an image in R, right? When the quantity within the square root is always positive, greater than or equal to 0, only then it will have an image. Otherwise, if it is negative, then what will happen? Will it have an image in this set? Will it have an image in this set? No. In which set will it have
No.
an image? It will have an image in the complex number set, right? But we are concerned with real numbers. So that's why we say a square minus x square greater than or equal to 0. And let's see what a square minus x square greater than or equal to 0 gives. Now a square minus x square greater than or equal to means greater than or equal to 0 means a plus x into a minus x is greater than or equal to 0. That means you get x plus a into, you can write this as minus x minus a greater than or equal to 0.
Yes, sir.
Because I want to find out the value of x, that is why I'm writing it in this way. Now if I multiply both sides by minus 1, what will happen? The sign of the inequality is going to reverse, right?
Yes, sir.
So that means what happens? X must lie between minus a and plus a, right? That means x must belong to what interval? Remember interval when I was doing in sets? Now we are coming to the application of those intervals. Minus a and plus a. So x belongs to which interval? This closed interval, right? Right? If you remember
Yes,
your
sir.
intervals, x belongs to this, and because you have inequality here, that is why this third brackets here. Because you have an equality here also, that is why this brackets here, the box brackets here. Okay, intervals. If you don't remember intervals, please go through a definition of intervals. So x belongs to this interval. So only for x lying between these two values, minus a and plus a, will you have, only then you can say that this is a function. Otherwise, you cannot say it is a function. Okay. So what is the domain here? Domain of y is equal to this interval. All the values lying between minus a and plus a, minus a plus a inclusive. Okay. Let's see the next one. Number 4. Here, given, or let y is equal to 2x minus 3 divided by square root of 5x square minus 7x plus 2. Right? In this case, what can you say should be the domain of the function? What is the restriction here? That the denominator cannot be equal to 0, right? What are the restrictions?
Yes.
That under the radical, you can only have a number that is greater than or equal to 0, right? So because
Yes, sir.
nothing is given, so x belongs to R. So here, 5x square minus 7x plus 2 must be greater than or equal to 0, right? And if it is greater than or equal to 0, no, sorry, it cannot be greater than or equal to 0. It has to be greater than 0, right? And if it is greater than 0, that means it is non-zero definitely. So that not equal to 0 is already taken care of under this restriction, right? The 5x square minus 7x plus 2 greater than 0 obviously means 5x square minus 7x plus 2 is not equal to 0, right? Now what happens? So now you factorize this. right? So you have 5x and 2x are the two factors, minus 5x and minus 2x. So you have 5x into x minus 1 minus 2 into x minus 1 greater than 0. Means you have x minus 1 into 5x minus 2 greater than 0, right? So now, how do you find, what are the range of values of x here? If x minus 1 into 5x minus 2 is greater than 0, that means x must be greater than 1. Which one is the lower value? Remember the method of intervals I told you when I was discussing quadratic expressions? If this is greater than 0, then what do? X minus 1 is equal to 0 gives you what? X is equal to 1. This you are doing in your rough. Let me do it in the, at the side. So x minus 1 equal to 0 means what? X is equal to 1,
X
right?
equal to 1.
And 5x minus 2 equal to 0 means x is equal to 2 by 5. So which one is the lower number? 2 by 5 is the lower number, right? So that means here x must be uh, greater than 2 by um, yes, x must be greater than 2 by 5. Okay, and x must be greater than 1, right? By the method of intervals. So x greater than 2 by 5 and x greater than 1. So which, if you combine these two equalities, what is the condition that you are getting? X greater than 2 by 5, x greater than 1. That means if I can simply call it as x greater than 1, because if will be greater than 1, it will obviously be greater than 2 by 5, right? So I can combine these two equalities to write x greater than 1.
Yes, sir.
And if x is greater than 1, what is the interval here? The interval here is 1, because there is no equality here. That is why I give a parenthesis, infinity. And with infinity, I always give a parenthesis. So what is the domain here? The answer is wrong given here. So your domain is 1, infinity. That is your domain. This answer that is I have given here is wrong. Okay. Please ignore this answer. Your answer should be 1, infinity. Okay. Any question here?
No, sir.
Okay, I'll stop here then.